So within each of us, there is a community of identities. All of these identities are interfering with how you connect to source. Okay. So you think about your intuition's here in the center. This is your intuition, right? Well, guess what? Your intuition speaks through whispers, right? And with surrounding your intuition, there's all these wounded identities, all of these perspectives that think about this and think about that. And I'm this, I'm that. I believe this, I believe that. My parents did this to me here. I grew up here, right? Like you have it's just like you're in a lunchroom cafeteria and intuition is talking among all these other voices, and you can't hear until you learn how to quiet the body through the breath, through the movement. And then when you can quiet everybody around here, then the voice of intuition starts to show up. Okay. And so a lot of people, I hear a lot of people in the spiritual community say, oh, just trust your intuition. I say, don't. Don't trust your intuition. Among your intuition, that little voice is telling you, yeah, right? You need to learn to see who is interfering with the voice of intuition. And so through the practice of Qigong, through the breathing exercises, through the body knowing, through the breath knowing, through the knowing of self, then you begin to recognize when intuition shows up. And when intuition shows up, don't just believe it. Put intuition to the test. I put intuition to the test. And man, I put it to the test. Okay. Because um, because I want to, everything I approach, my approach to spirituality is a very, I would say, very science-based, because it's like over the years, I'll be brief. Oh, it's 7:30. Okay, I'll be quick with this one. Um, for some of you guys who are still working on developing intuition, okay, when I first started to to see and sense people's physical ailments, I thought I was crazy. I was like, what the hell? Like, that's bonkers, right? And then in class, in acupuncture school, I started seeing meridians when I was palpating for points. And then I was like, whoa, what is that? And I would see in my head a meridian. When I touched, I felt something go down, and I was like, that's interesting. And then the students or the classmate that I was working on, they was like, oh, I felt something go up. I felt something go down. I felt this do that. And I was like, oh, it's interesting. I saw that, right? But I saw it in my head. And I also saw that in class, when a student came in a classroom, I remember when it started to really kick up was when one of the classmates came in and he had like a cast on his arm. And when he walked into the classroom, I saw his cast and I immediately heard skiing accident, hairline fracture from here to here. And I was like, right? Funny. And then people ask him, what happened? What happened? It's like, oh, skiing accident, hairline fracture from here to here. I was like, what? Right? And I was like, bogus. Okay, I'll see you, Terry. And and then another student walk in, have a hip issue, thank you. And then I would have watched them move and I knew and I felt it in me. And so what I did was I learned to put it to the test. And so when I started to see and sense things from other people, I said, okay, I call bullshit on everything. And I would ask, hey, are you experiencing this? And they would say, yes, I'm experiencing this, I'm experiencing that. And so then I would get confirmation. The body will tell you through your own intuition, but you had to put it to the test. Otherwise, you're hearing all these voices in your head. The further along you get, you hear all these voices in your head. All of them are going to be conflicting, right? And you need to learn how to weed out the wounded voices from the voice of intuition. And this is where discernment comes into play. And a lot of spiritual people in the spiritual community are not practicing discernment. They're just like, oh, I'm channeling this and that. Like, well, if your not body is not here, what the hell are you channeling? Right? And you got to be cautious. So it's like I practice discernment, lots of discernment, to the point where I think my guides might, not like me that much because of that. But right, so practice discernment, and the more you clean up your diet, the more you practice forgiveness, the more you practice positive attitude and attitude of gratitude, then you can be in alignment to hear. And when you hear, once you start hearing, you put it to the test. Okay. So it's a relationship. It's like learning how to know when you need to pee. Intuition is kind of like that, right? Otherwise, you just wet your diapers and wet in bed.